method of deploying the application is we can deploy the application using infrastructure as a service. Using infra as a service, we can deploy the application, right? How? We can create a virtual machine. This will have an operating system. This will have a size. And in this machine, we can deploy the application. So who will be writing this application code? We will be writing this application code. And who will be deploying the application? We will be deploying the application. Who will be managing the machine? We will be managing the machine. So in this case, we are responsible for creating, managing, and deploying the application. We are also responsible for creating, managing, and deploying the machine. So we are responsible for both. If in case machine goes down, would we be able to access the application? No. So machine high availability, machine scalability, machine patching, updates, all will be taken care by us. Okay. Microsoft says we can provide you one more option. You can even deploy your application using platform as a service. So how can we go using platform as a service? There is a service in Azure called as Azure App Services. And using this Azure App Services, we can directly deploy web applications. We can deploy mobile applications. We can deploy API applications. We can even deploy function applications, right? This is what we can deploy. Means directly we can go ahead and directly we can deploy the web applications. Earlier, when we were going with infra as a service, first we need to create a virtual machine and then only we are able to deploy the application. But with the help of this, directly we can go ahead and directly we can deploy the application, right? With the help of this Azure App Services, directly we can go ahead and deploy the application. So we understand that directly we can go ahead and directly we can deploy the application. But question comes, where this application will be running? So this application will be running on a machine. And how we will get this machine? So basically, we don't need to create this machine. This time, this machine will be created by Microsoft, and this time the machine will be managed by Microsoft. Right? So in the first case, we first need to create a machine and then we need to manage the machine. But in this case, neither we need to create the machine nor we need to manage the machine. So machine will be created and machine will be managed by Microsoft. So we understand that Microsoft is going to create a machine for us. Microsoft is going to manage a machine for us. But question comes, how will Microsoft come to know about a requirement? Whether we need a Windows-based machine, whether we need an Linux-based machine, right? What is the operating system? What is the configuration, right? What are the functionalities? What are the capabilities of that machine? So before we deploy the application using Azure App Services, we first need to create an app service plan. So app service plan is a medium, is a method. So basically app service plan is a medium or is a method via which we will be providing information to Microsoft that what kind of an underlying machine we are looking for. Whether we need a Windows machine, we need a Linux machine, what is the size of the machine, what is the capabilities of the machine, right? So first we need to create an app service plan. So how can we create an app service plan? Maybe we need to have a subscription. We need to have a resource group. We need to give it a name. Let's say I'm giving it a name plan 1. You can give any name of your choice. Whatever name you wish to give, you may give any name of your choice. Right? After giving it a name, then we need to define the region, in which region we would like to deploy this. Let's say we are deploying this in East US 2. Then we need to define the underlying OS, whether we want Microsoft to provide us Windows-based machine or whether we want Microsoft to provide us Linux-based machine. So depending upon the application requirement, we can choose the underlying operating system. So let's say we want Microsoft to provide us Windows-based machine. What should be the size of this app service plan? So size of the app service plan, we define in terms of ACU and memory, right? Let's say we are giving it 100 ACU and 1.75 GB of memory. So guys, if you have a look here, size of the virtual machine, we define in terms of CPU and memory. Size of this app service plan, we are defining in terms of ACU and memory, right? So what is ACU? So this ACU stands for Azure Compute Unit. It is basically a Microsoft unit for calculating CPU performances across Azure SKUs. Right? It's basically a Microsoft unit for calculating CPU performances across Azure SKUs. So what Microsoft has done, Microsoft has created a standard benchmark. And as per the standard benchmark, they are treating standard A1 size of the virtual machine as 100 ACU. That is the size of this machine, right? And what is the size of the standard A1 virtual machine? It has got 1 vCPU and 1.75 GB of memory. That is what they are treating it equals to 100 ACU and 1.75 GB of memory. So basically a standard benchmark has been created. See guys, we always have a standard benchmark. For example, 1 kilogram is equals to 1000 grams. So there is a standard benchmark between kilograms and grams, right? We can have the standard benchmark between two different unit of weights. Kilogram or gram is also a unit of weight. Pound is also a unit of weight. So we can say 1 pound is equals to 400 grams or 450 grams, whatever the conversion is. So now we are creating a standard benchmark between one unit of weight, that is pound, with the second unit of weight, that is grams. So if you have a look here Microsoft has also created a standard benchmark between one unit of compute, that is vCPU and memory, and second unit of compute, that is ACU and memory, right? See guys, what I'm trying to say is, if you have a look here, we can just type here ACU in Azure, right? So if we go to this ACU in Azure, let me share this URL to all of you as well. So if we go to this, right, if we simply go to this ACU, we can see here, if we scroll down, we see the concept of Azure Compute Unit provides a way of comparing CPU performance across Azure SKUs. The Azure Compute Unit enables you to easily identify which SKU is most likely to satisfy your performance needs. ACU is currently standardized on a small standard A1 virtual machine being 100, right? So they are considering small standard A1 VMS 100. And all other SKUs then represent approximately how much faster that SKU can understand that benchmark, right? So they are considering small standard A1 VMS 100. And what is the size of this small standard A1 VM? 1 vCPU and 1.75 GB of memory. Any questions, any queries, guys, before we move forward? Anyone has any questions, any queries so far?
I mean, any way to scale up? I mean,
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
okay, okay,
In 15 minutes, you will have the clarity around the same.
okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, so let's move forward. So basically, guys, see, when we are creating this app service plan, there are different tiers we have in this app service plan. So we have 6 tiers in this app service plan. We have free tier, we have shared tier, we have basic tier, we have standard tier, we have premium tier, and we have isolated tier. So these are different tiers we have in the app service plan. Depending upon which tier we go with, we would be able to get the required output, or you can say you would be able to get the required features, and we would be able to get the required capabilities. For example, how many applications we can deploy in free tier? We can deploy maximum 10 applications in free tier. How many we can deploy in shared tier? 100. How many we can deploy in other tiers? As many as we want. Whenever we will be deploying the application, we would be needing a disk space. So how much disk space we get with free tier? 1 GB, shared tier 1 GB, basic tier 10 GB, standard tier 50 GB, premium tier 250 GB, isolated tier 1 terabyte. So point is, with different tiers, we are getting different capabilities, right? We are getting different capabilities. So I'm sharing you one URL. With this URL, you will have the complete understanding. See, if we see this URL, we can see there are 6 tiers: pre, shared, basic, standard, premium, and isolated. How many web applications, mobile applications, or API apps we can deploy in free tier 10, shared tier 100, in all the other tiers as many as we want, unlimited. Disk space 1 GB, 1 GB, 10 GB, 50 GB, 250 GB, 1 terabyte. Maximum instances. This is an important point to note. So with free tier, we do not get any instance, dedicated instance. With shared tier, no dedicated instance. Basic tier up to 3 instances. Standard tier up to 10 instances. Premium tier up to 30 instances. Isolated tier up to 100 instances. Right? What does it mean? With free and shared, we are not getting any dedicated instance. What does it mean? Let's say, guys, there is an organization with the name Dell. If Dell have deployed their application in free tier, there is an organization with the name HP. If they have deployed their web application in the free tier, in free tier, we do not have a dedicated instance. It means there might be a machine in the backend, or there might be an instance in the backend in Microsoft Data Center, and web application 1 and web application 2 will be running on a same machine. So applications from two different organizations, application from two different subscriptions, application from two different accounts, they are running on a same machine. So if they are production applications, it can have a huge security impact. That is the reason we say that free, shared, and even basic, they are not recommended to deploy the production application. They are recommended to deploy the testing or the development application. If we would like to deploy the production application, right? If we would like to deploy the production application, we can go with standard or with the premium tier. They are recommended to deploy the production applications, right? Let's say Dell is deploying their web application 1 in the basic tier. In basic tier, how many instances we can have? So in basic tier, we can get maximum up to 3 instances. What does it mean? It means we can have instance number 1 where web application 1 is running. We can have instance number 2 where web application 1 is running, and maximum we can go up to 3 instances. We can have also instance number 3 where web application 1 is. So this web application, or we can say that now Dell is getting 3 dedicated instances where only applications from Dell would be running. Applications from no other, right? Applications from no other thing or no other account or no other subscription would be running over here. Applications only from Dell would be running over here, right? Okay. So if Dell is running the application here, what about the size of this instance? We can have 3 sizes: B1, B2, and B3. So if we go with B1, we can have 100 ACU and 1.75 GB of memory. With B2, we can have 200 ACU 3.5 GB of memory. And with B3, we can have 400 ACU, 7 GB of memory, right? But guys, please remember all the instance will have the same size. Either all of them will be B1 or all of them will be B2 or all of them will be B3, right? Similarly, let's say if HP is going with the standard tier, in standard, we can deploy 10 as the maximum number of instances. Let's say as of now, they're running instance one where they're running multiple applications, right? We may run multiple applications. Now, if in case traffic is increasing, we can increase the number of instances. And please remember, whenever we are increasing the number of instances, all the applications will be running on all the instances. So if we are increasing the number of instances, all the applications will be running on all the instances. And for standard, again, we have three sizes, S1, S2, and S3, right? So we have three sizes for standard, right? So basically, if I go with S1, we get this size, S2, we get this size, and S3, we get this size. I think one gentleman has a question regarding the scaling, right? How can we do the scaling? So one option of scaling is if the traffic is increasing, we can increase the number of instances. In standard, we can go up to 10 instances. Second option of scaling is, let's say right now, all these three instances are of S1 size. So one option is we can further increase the number of instances, instance 4, instance 5, and so on. Second option is we can even change the size of the instance. So let's say all three instances are of S1 type, we can upgrade them to S3. And they would be able to handle more traffic as well. Sir, hope your query is answered. The gentleman who has this question, how we
Yes,
would be able.
yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you.
Before we try to create this app service. Okay, see, before we create the app service plan, let's see the other features. We have a feature called as custom domain. All the tiers can support custom domain except for the free tier. There is a feature called as auto scaling. So what is auto scaling? Whenever traffic will be increasing, we would be increasing the number of instances, right? Whenever traffic will be increasing, we would be increasing the number of instances. And whenever traffic, Larry, can you please put your mute?
Sure.
Oh, thank you. So, and if traffic will be decreasing, then we will be decreasing the number of instances. So we have a feature called as auto scale. Auto scaling is possible, but it is only possible with standard tier, premium tier, and isolated tier. So if I have deployed my app service plan with the free tier, we would not be able to go with auto scaling, right? So there are different features which are available with different tiers. Let's see how can we create the app service plan. See, if we want to create the app service plan, we can simply go here and we can say app service plan. So here we can see the app service plans. Right? So when we go with the app service plans, now maybe we can say create. So when we say create, in which resource group we are creating, let's say we are creating it in RG1. What is the name? Whatever name you wish to give, let's say plan 1. What is the underlying OS? We can go with Windows or we can go with Linux. Let's say we are going with Windows as the underlying OS. In which region we are creating it? Let's say we are creating it in East US 2. What is the pricing plan? We have multiple options. So we can click on here, explore pricing plans. So one option is free. As the name suggests, we get 60 minutes of compute free every day. Second option is shared. In shared, we get 240 minutes of compute every day, but we have to pay a small price. Then we have basic. In basic, we have three options, B1, B2, B3. Standard, three option, S1, S2, S3. For premium, we have multiple options. So depending upon which one you are selecting. So let's say we are selecting with standard S1, 100 ACU and 1.75 GB of memory. I'm saying select, right? And now we can say review and create. So now we are creating the app service plan. Let the app service plan be deployed. So now we are able to create this app service plan, right? So if we click on this app service plan, in which tier we are running it? In standard tier. In standard tier, we are running as S1. How many instances we can have in the standard tier? We can have maximum up to 10 instances. How many instances we are running right now? So instance count as of now is, right? As of now, we are running one instance. Then on the left hand side, we can go to settings. Under settings, we can see how many applications are running on this app service plan. So as of now, no application is running on this app service plan, right? Then we have file system storage. We know with standard tier, we get 50 GB. As of now, we have 50 GB, none has been utilized. Then here we have an option called a scale up. See what is scale up? Let's say right now we are running in standard tier. In standard, we are running in S1 tier. If we want to handle more traffic, we can jump from S1 to S3. So we can remain in the same tier and we can even go from S1 to S3. So I'm changing the size of the instances. So now if you go to overview, we will find out now we are running one instance, but the instance size is S3, which has got more capabilities. Second option is, even if in case we want to jump across a tier, we can even jump across a tier. So let's say I want to jump from standard to premium. So I can go from standard to premium as well. So let's say now I'm going to this premium version 3, right? So I can say select. So what we are doing? We are doing an upgrade. We are going from standard to premium. Similarly, if we want to do a downgrade, we can do a downgrade as well. Let's say we can go from premium to free. So right now we'll see here, we are running it into the premium tier. So let's say we want to move from premium to free, we can do that. But guys, please remember, whenever we are doing a downgrade, if in case we are using any feature which is not available with the downgraded version, the downgrade will fail. What I'm trying to say is, let's say we have configured auto scaling. We can use auto scaling with standard tier, with premium tier, and with isolated tier. We do not have an option of auto scaling with free tier. So right now we are using auto scaling, which is possible with the premium tier. Now let's say if I would like to downgrade to free tier, it will fail. Reason? Reason is the auto scaling feature is not there for the free tier. So if in case we are using any feature which is not available with the downgraded version, the downgrade may fail, right? So let's say if I'm going to free tier, it clearly says here, downgrading the pricing plan, changing the plan for your application can fail if your application is using feature that requires a specific SKU. Are you sure you would like to downgrade? We are saying yes, we would like to downgrade, right? So now if we go to overview, we can see that we are running now in the free tier. Again, from here, if I want to go to standard, we can go to the standard tier again. right? So from here, let's say we would like to go to the standard tier. Let's say we can go to standard tier again. That is how we can do the scale up, right? Second option is we have an option to increase the number of instances. In standard, what is the maximum number of instances we can have? 10. How many instances we are running right now? 1. So if we want to handle more traffic, one option we have is to increase the number of instances. So how can we increase the number of instances? See, on the left hand side, we have an option called as scale out. Here, we have an option called as scale out. So if we want to increase the number of instances, we can go to scale out. So when we go to scale out, it says, what is the current plan? Standard, right? Here it has given the price. Memory, 1.75 GB. What is the maximum number of instances we can go with? 10. How many instances we are running right now? 1. So if we want to increase the number of instances, there are two ways by which it can be increased. We can do it manually or we can do it automatically. Why automatically? Because we are running in the standard tier and auto scaling is possible with standard tier, right? So if we see here, it says scaling. What is the scale out method? Manual. Let's say the traffic is increasing and we want to increase the instance count from 1 to 5. So we can simply increase the count from 1 to 5 and we can say save. So what will happen in the background? 4 more instances will be deployed.